So hello and welcome to another thrilling episode of the Ask Blue podcast. I'm Richard Austin. I'm joined again today by my esteemed colleague, Mr. Jamie Mitchell. Hi, Jamie.
Thank you for having me back, Rich.
No problem. Always a pleasure. And also we've got some esteemed guests over from Ireland joining us today from Bossit. We've got Molly and Padraig. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah, good. All good.
Good. Thanks for coming along.
Excited to be here.
Good. No, it's a pleasure to have you. So, people who watch this regularly will know me and Jamie, but do you want to tell us a little bit about yourselves, introduce yourselves?
Well, sure. Padraig's my name. I'm the CEO of Bossit. I have a background in technology. Started out many years ago building apps. Started with Nokia apps, if anybody can remember Nokia phones.
I am that old.
Well, Symbian apps were, we evolved into iPhone apps, Android apps. We followed all the tech trends and tried to stay ahead of it and started building platforms. And we're involved in a lot of different platforms over the year and now. And we were very closely linked to the hospitality industry the whole way through, whether it was in apps or communications or even games that we've built. It was always very closely tied to the hospitality. Now with Bossit, we're a platform working in the service industry. We believe we're cutting edge and at the forefront, and we've immersed ourselves in AI, and that's where we are now on our journey.
Okay, it's a pretty strong background in technology. Molly, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, Molly from Bossit. I'm head of partnerships, so I focus on building relationships with software resellers and hardware vendors and bringing our tech to a wider market through them. Prior to that, I worked in hospitality since I was old enough to pull a pint, so from bars to cafes, fine dining, restaurants, QSRs, and across loads of different locations. So Greece, I had my own bar there actually,
really?
Australia, Cyprus, UK.
You still got those pint pulling skills?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't lose
you
those.
You do that little clover leaf on top of a pint of Guinness.
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah, fantastic. It's a useful skill to have. But yeah, forget all this technology stuff. I think more interesting.
Mastered what's the new one you showed me yesterday?
Oh yeah, there's a Guinness one where you put your fingers and you can make the Guinness head scream. Do it off camera.
So there'll be another episode to follow on this.
Yeah.
Always educational on the Ask Blue podcast.
Yeah, great. And that's kind of a bit about yourselves and I guess a bit of an introduction about Bossit as well. So obviously we know you because Molly, you're the head of partnerships. We're working quite closely together, and you're part of our ISV program. So we really like how you fit into that, being that you're trade only, you're software only, and you work really well helping us to sell the point of sale hardware, kiosk, self-service that we do. So it's really good to have you here. Really good to have you as part of our ISV program as well. Mainly, what we're going to talk about today, I think, is going to be hospitality. What does the future look like? No doubt at some point we're going to get into the AI world as well as part of that conversation. So, but I think probably as a starting point, how do you see what's the background at the moment? What does the hospitality industry look like right now from everybody's perspective?
Well, I suppose from our point of view, hospitality is still growing, but they're facing some challenges like back in the day, the rite of passage if you were a student or even school, you'd go work in the service industry, whether it was a bar or a restaurant or quick serve.
Sounds like we've all done that. You worked in hospitality, Jamie?
I have indeed, yeah, absolutely. Hotel and restaurant I would imagine now going back into that industry, it's completely different.
To get staff. I guess kids now don't want to, parents don't force them. So you're left with a big shortage, and it's where, I suppose, technology has kind of has to pick up the slack, whether it be through hardware or software. So there's a balance in that going on right now where, costs are rising because of staff shortages and people are reaching out more and socializing more. So there's a bit of a balancing act going on between labor and technology. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges there at the moment.
But people are the stats to back that up, people are actually eating out more.
Yeah, even like I guess in the last decade, it's 100% increase.
Okay.
And I suppose even from your high street, you'll see every chain, every restaurant, they all have business. It might be spread a little thinner, but the industry is definitely still increasing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest employers in the world right now. Actually, I think it makes up like 30-40% of the workforce service industry. and it's predicted to increase as well as a percentage.
Yeah.
Smaller apartments, smaller kitchens, more food ordering, more eating out, so it is going to keep going.
I suppose because there must be more hospitality outlets in general these days. Because if I think about my limited view of this, I used to go to the pub 30 years ago, and the pubs would be rammed, but there were far fewer pubs, and there were also hardly any restaurants back then. I mean, I'm going back a long time ago, but you wouldn't go out for a meal in a restaurant unless it was someone's birthday with a 0 on the end of it. Really, it's whereas these days, I guess there's a hell of a lot more choice, isn't there? So the places themselves might not be as rammed as they were back in the 14th century when I was out drinking. But there are so many more of them. There's so much more choice, even in relatively small places. You've got all these different types of cuisine.
Well, delivery and collection of food will help them a lot, and platforms like Uber, Just Eat, etc. has grown the marketplace, and people are cooking less, and so it does help them. They don't necessarily have to have boots on the ground with customers coming in, so they can delivery would have, absolutely, especially through COVID, that's would have built the revenues, and that's continued, and it allows them to open more venues and run dark kitchens as well. So between people going to your restaurants and eating at home, it is still increasing rapidly.
Yeah, because I suppose a lot of the restaurants themselves, they're not necessarily serving people in the restaurant. There might be, for every 3 people in the restaurant, there's probably at least 1 or 2 Uber drivers or Deliveroo or other delivery brands are available. Sitting there waiting for food to take home to somebody that doesn't want to go out that night.
And the biggest skill is, I suppose, cooking the food. And there is a shortage of chefs or cooks for that industry. So there is a huge balancing act between being able to expand and getting the staff and being able to control costs. So they are turning to technology. They have to turn to technology.
Yeah, because demand is outstripping supply.
Absolutely.
And I suppose that probably helps. It does seem like it's got more expensive to eat out more recently as well. So that probably.
Well, if you order food, it's nearly the same price as sitting in a restaurant. Like you put your delivery charges, all the different things on it, but it's where your preference is, whether you want to sit at home and enjoy it or socialise and go out and enjoy it. But it's pretty much the same cost, I think, at home as in the actual restaurant. You might spend more on drinks in a restaurant, of course, so they prefer you to come through in that regard, but the actual food cost does pretty much even out.
Yeah, pretty much, What about, pulling back a little bit and starting to bring in the technology, Molly, what hospitality tech trends are becoming mainstream these days?
I think a big one would be tipping. Actually, having tipping apps or having some sort of tipping service within the industry is key now, because with staff shortages, I think that kind of comes from staff or anybody not wanting to have the big desire to go in to work on the floor of a restaurant, be in the bar, because the tips really disappeared during COVID. Cash changed to more digital transactions, whether it's tapping, and the card machines weren't set up for adding a tip, or they were getting taxed, etc. So bringing in just tipping and having that as a separate service is huge now. It's really, you can see at your table, you're getting a separate terminal from the staff. The tip is going to that staff member. So that's big. We can kind of see the staff members coming back to the industry a little bit. Still, we need other avenues as well to keep the orders up. So there won't be QR ordering. You see that everywhere. QRs on the tables where they can scan and order to the table. They're not waiting for staff members. And the staff can actually build a relationship with the customer, like retain them to coming back.
So you think that's declining, that QR ordering,
There's a mix of it now. So again, we talk about COVID quite a lot in the industry, but that brought QR ordering to the forefront. At the time, you had to have, especially in the UK and Ireland, you had to have table service. So you couldn't go up to the bar and order a drink. It had to be at your table. But the staff numbers has decreased massively because people weren't coming in and you couldn't get them. So the staff just wanted to work on making the drinks and dropping them down, but they didn't have enough to actually run the table sections. So that brought in the QR ordering, which was great because even customers that we've had in the past, we saw an increase in per head spend because it was more visual what they had as an offering. So instead of them ordering just a pint, it would be a cocktail or a cheeky shot as well, which we're all partial to. QR ordering is massive. And then the kiosks too, self-serve kiosks from from a business perspective, it's a huge upsell on them. Like per head spend is up like 30%. So you really want to push your customers to go use them and let all the staff members just focus on the food and getting really good service that way.
I mean, we're seeing that, aren't we, generally, on the kiosk side of things, there's a lot of growth there.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And it's a great advertising platform as well to actually help navigate special offers, the wider menu.
Yeah.
Certainly if I'm feeling as though, as we've mentioned, going to dining out more is becoming more expensive, and then I've got the obligation potentially of putting a tip on there, it is becoming an event. So actually being able to capture and ensure I don't want that event to be a bad customer service, which puts pressure on in terms of having the staff, but also as well, if I'm potentially only going to visit, once a month, or whereas I might have been in there every week, it's about maximising the revenue that the restaurant can get from me in terms of using self-service and other QR ordering as a means of being able to promote those offers. I think it's absolutely paramount.
Yeah.
I think even though you know that you're being... it's not that you're being had, is it? Even though you know you're being upsold,
yes,
you still go along with it as well, right?
Yeah,
because it's convenient.
Because it's there on the kiosk, and they say, why don't you have a drink with that, Richard? Why don't you have another drink with that? What about a shot to go with that?
Yeah.
Extra hello meat.
There's no shame as well. I mean, the stats show that even if guys especially will buy the extra burger because nobody's judging them if they're on their own. So there's less shame, and there's a huge upsell because of it. But it works.
And I think it's also, going back to what you were saying, Molly, it's about offering people a range of different ways of ordering. You've got the QR code, you've got the kiosk, you've got the traditional way of ordering where you actually interact with another human being. That's still available in some places, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's become increasingly important it's of increasing importance to be able to offer all of these different channels for ordering, right?
Yeah. And what brings the customer back is the human interaction. If they're not stressed or under pressure because they have too many people to look after, or there's too many things going on, they can focus on building the relationship with the customers and having a chat, having a smile. Why are they there? Yeah, that's what they come back for. It's not to use the computer.
Yeah. Rather than just being somebody who just carries plates backwards and forwards to the kitchen, right? Yeah. And I mean, obviously, technology is coming in and making a big difference to these different outlets. But to what extent can that be applied to smaller independent hospitality outlets? Because you probably don't want to lose their unique character.
I think first and foremostly is creating some sort of digital loyalty scheme where you can offer that to your customers. They can, if it's something simple like buy 10 coffees, get one free. We're used to having those little business cards where you'd get the stamps, you'd lose the stamps, and you'd be raging, and you wouldn't necessarily go back. So having a digital version of that and offering that is like the first step for very small businesses. But then introducing AI in terms of rostering staff, rostering staff, looking after all that kind of stuff, bringing in stock management, reducing your waste in the kitchen, and just let that run the background of the business. And again, keep the staff looking after the customers and keeping them happy at the front.
Yeah. So that you say that technology is helping them to actually reduce the cost then? Is that a big part of it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess the smaller businesses all businesses in hospitality are very, very cost conscious, right? But I guess the small ones have to be especially so, being a little bit more vulnerable, right? Yeah,
and it's about speed as well, getting the food, the drink out as quickly as possible. You can use tech to see what items aren't performing or how long they might be taking to cook, things like that. So once you have the system in place, it might take a little bit of training at the beginning, but honestly, it's worth it because it reduces costs across the board.
Yeah. And have you got any tips, or how do you find as a business when you're talking to the different hospitality outlets that you work with, how are you finding that despite those rising costs, this technology can be made more accessible to the?
I'm going for one platform that kind of has it all built in. So if it's your POS, if it's that they have direct integration with the aggregators, so they can see all the Deliveroo, Just Eat, Uber Eats, there's more, all of the sales coming through the same funnel, having online ordering, just capturing everything, having that stock management feature in there, staff management feature, so they're not going to multiple different platforms and paying premium prices, just finding one that suits them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess if it's a small business particularly, there's a hell of a lot going on there. Like you say, staff,
Yeah.
stock, costs, the different technology they've got to deploy and everything.
Yeah.
If you're a business owner who probably in that small business environment probably started out as a chef or somebody who really likes coffee or loves drinking or whatever, that they're not technology experts like we are, or like you are, right? So I suppose that this is where AI starts to come in, doesn't it? And it's making a change to the industry, but then there has to be a balance between automation and the human touch.
Yeah, I guess with AI, it has come in very, very fast across the world. It is moving at a pace I think none of us quite understand, and it is going to change not only in the service industry, but it will change the world fundamentally. But in the service industry specifically, if a lot of businesses in it run on very small margins. 1 or 2% can be the difference between losing money and making money. And technology in general has helped them understand that. AI will help them understand it further. They can, even in the simplest way, they can use it for finding their next location, built on demographics, built on all the different things. Like we have one customer who, always looked at their surrounding areas, and they were looking at one restaurant, but it was too close to the sea. So because it was semicircle, they like to draw a circle and bring in a population that won't open a business. So AI helps that. You're able to tune into it. You're able to, even simple things like ChatGPT, asking a question about, age groups, demographics, pricing, income, locations. It helps make decisions, and it helps them get that little bit more viable. And it is that 1 or 2%. As Molly mentioned stock, getting your stock right, getting your costs right. We work very closely with them to make sure that their P&L daily is, they can see how much money are we giving to Just Eat and Deliveroo, and it's quite high. Are we making money on it? Should we be moving more towards our own direct sales? Yeah, all these little things, because the margins are razor thin, and that's what will make the viable. Even in bigger companies, even though they're scaling, they still have to control their costs. They still have to make decisions based on all the market phenomena that's going on at times. So AI is really, really helping in that matter.
I suppose, in a small business, you probably, although there's a lot going on, you probably know that if you've got 3 bags of coffee left under the counter, you're probably going to be okay for the next day or so. Yeah. Maybe come Tuesday, you need to order some more coffee bags or whatever. But if your business is successful, and then suddenly you've got businesses in 2 or 3 businesses in the town, maybe a couple of other places, then suddenly you've got 10 outlets, you've no longer got visibility eye to eye of how many coffee bags you've got there. So it's that growth that I guess AI can, there are things that AI can do to help.
As well, it can look at things like trends in weather. It's like, I think coffee got very expensive because there was really bad weather in Brazil. And it might be 5 months down the road, which might buy a lot more stock because the best before date is 2 years. But you can look at all the different trends easier now. Before this, you were going to huge agencies and to start working with them on trends, and you get the airlines hedging their fuel bills based on stuff that happened a year ago or a war that breaks out. But now you can actually start looking at it in a smaller, more controlled way through AI without spending a lot of money or on consultants or experts. Or it's there for everybody now.
Yeah, definitely. And and another interesting thing about that is obviously you've got how AI can be used on a global level, but also how it can be applied on a local level in the different hospitality outlets themselves. I mean, is it worth at this stage pulling back and talking a little bit about what do we mean in general by AI? Because I mean, I know how to spell it. Beyond that, what does it actually mean? Because it probably means different things to different people, I would say. What have you got a definition of what it means, and then perhaps to be able to bring that back into hospitality again?
Sure. I mean, there's 2 parts to AI. One is a thing called LLM, which is large language models.
Okay.
And basically that's where it all started. You had companies like obviously OpenAI and Google, Facebook, all the big companies have been taking all the information on the internet, everything, like Wikipedia, Google, anything, like even what do you call the Reddit, as it makes up 24% of it. So you take every single thing basically that we humans have put online, and you categorize it and you look for predictions within it. So I suppose if you look back, an earlier version would have been predictive text. So you start typing 3 letters and finish the word.
Yeah.
That would have been a very early version of it. Now it's gone to a stage where they have so much information that they're able to predict everything we've done. And that's the first part. But then you've got agentic. Agentic is actually actioning what's happening. So if you're, asking a question, it finds the answer and then go press that button. Collect information as well. You have Tesla cars, for instance. They're driving around doing is collecting data. They're taking pictures of signposts, taking pictures of pavements. They're looking at potholes, and they've collected trillions of pieces of data, and they're putting it together so that they can predict the next movement. So a self-drive car, for instance, avoids a pothole or knows what a human looks like, and all of that's taken from data. And that's what all the LLMs have been doing, is categorizing and predicting. So if 10,000 people go in one direction with a sentence and one goes the other way, they'll go with the 10,000. And it's predictive. That's basically what happens. And now they've got all this information has been created by humans. Then you go in and say agentic is the decision making. This is where it gets interesting. You've got all this data, you're able to pull it in, and now you're able to connect AI to the code. And before this, you would press a button or you would type something in. Now you can ask a question, it can find the answer, and it can perform the task at a simple level. Like hospitality, you'd have seen a kiosk that's technical, but predicting what somebody might buy. You won't be able to do this, but the camera's on coming in, they can look at the person, they'll find them on social media, they'll be able to make an assertion that this person is going to buy 2 burgers or something like that. You won't be able to use that, but they'll be able to take all the data, go through it, make a prediction of what they're going to do.
Do you think we'll ever get to a point in time where they will be able to use that? I mean, obviously it's about people opting into it.
In China,
really?
So I think you get travel credits based on your behaviour. So if you cross at a junction where there's no red light, you lose credits, and you lose the ability after a while to be able to travel on planes. So I don't think hopefully it won't get that far over here. But yeah, there will be a lot of
be allowed to go anywhere.
Well,
probably for the best.
Yeah. You look at websites and people are blocking cookies and blocking ads. I don't understand that. Because if you want a better experience and you want to find products that suit, and what are you hiding? Like there is 2 levels. A lot of people are very conscious of their privacy and have nothing to hide. And on the other side of it, people go too far. So I suppose it's a balancing act. But yeah, it's not going to be a million miles off that. There'll be certain levels of it. They might be able to look at your walk and see, we know this guy, we've seen 10,000 before walk like this. Yeah. We know what he's going to do. There's a lot of things you can do without going into the personal detail of the person. You'll be able to use data, you'll be able to walk, you'll be able to loads of things. Eye colour, hair, clothes, and then start to say, okay, this person has bought that type of jeans, and go trawl the web, go through all the LLMs and go, this is what they're going to do next, and predict it. So it's prediction. LLMs are predicting what's going to happen, and agentic is the action of it. Yeah. If the car self-drive the car, avoid the pothole because it's learned, don't hit the pothole, stop at a red light because it'll crash if it goes through. So agentic is actually carrying out the decision, and LLM is where all the information comes from to make that decision. But one really important thing is all of the data comes from humans. So it's everything we've done or posted or everything online. So that's where the decisions come from. It doesn't actually come from the machine, for want of a better word.
Okay. So in terms of bringing that amount of data, the LLMs and the agentic back into hospitality, do people in local hospitality outlets sort of understand AI well enough to invest in it for their businesses?
I think there is a big educational piece. I do think there is a huge fear of AI too, and a lot of that is drummed up. There's probably a certain amount of it.
You think people are afraid of it, yeah?
I we've seen customers, they're going, don't come near me with that AI stuff, I want to pick up a phone. Like there's 2 levels of them. There's others going, if my business is going to be more profitable, give me as much as you can. But there is a fear. I mean, you hear, people go on about an existential threat that AI is going to take over the world. So if that part of it, and then you go back to them and say you should use it in your business, they're going to go, it's going to take all my money or it's going to close me down. So there is a little bit of an educational thing to it. But when you start seeing it in bit pieces, like first of all, it's, automatically sending out an email or
Dispatching drivers.
and then they go, okay, that saved me time and answering the phone and, going into call center. Then you start saying, okay, I get that part of it. So there is a trust thing, there's an educational piece, but at the very core of it, it's information and prediction.
I suppose the starting point for it is how much, go to that example there with sending out delivery drivers, how much time are they spending?
Yeah.
Or how much money are they wasting? Potentially, they cook a burger at 7 o'clock, but there's no delivery driver available until 7:45 to actually deliver it.
Yeah.
So how much money could they save by not starting to prepare that burger until 7:30 when the actual driver who's going to deliver it is likely to arrive and take it?
Yeah. We've been in premises where the staff have been completely overwhelmed, where they're supposed to be on the POS taking orders from incoming customers. They have been dragged over to work out which delivery area this food is going to and if they can send 2 on the same way. And at the end of the day, they're not paying any attention to the new customers that are in front of them. The food is being delivered cold because maybe they messed up which way they should be going. The drivers are not getting as many deliveries out as quickly as possible and missing items. So it saves so much time, effort and money at the end of the day, just having something in that can work out exactly where the drivers should be going, at what time. And when they're in the area, when they're coming back is when the food can be prepped and sent to the KDS. So it's all managed automatically from the system.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's down to management, isn't it, really? It's, I guess we've all been in different hospitality outlets where you go in and it's just chaos. There's 3 or 4 staff in there. Nobody's really in charge. No offence to young people, I'm sure that many of them are excellent managers, but you've got an 18-year-old kid that's supposed to be managing 3 other 18-year-old kids and nobody's really in charge. They're just milling around kind of busy, and it's not purely young people either. It can be people of all ages that are don't really have a clear purpose in terms of what they're doing. I'm going probably shouldn't name names, but a drive-through coffee place at the weekend, and we just stood there for about 5 minutes watching people busy doing nothing. Whereas if something could have prompted them, and I guess, is this something where AI could come in and help? Say, you've got a customer standing there waiting, it doesn't need to recognise our faces, it just needs to know that we're there. Just tell them, I'll be with you in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I think that's the parents' job now.
That's the artificial intelligence we're looking for. Just to replace parenting.
Well, we had one interesting situation with a customer. We have all of dispatch, which basically they'll on open ending, it decides what order goes where, with what driver, manning to bring all that. So you turn it on, it does it for you. But a customer keeps saying, I don't think it's right. And we're going, what did it do wrong? Because I don't know. And it's been this conversation the whole time with him because I'm not sure it's right. And we're going, have you seen anything wrong? No. But there's a suspicion in the background that it's not perfect. And so there is an educational piece. It works fine until we're told it doesn't. But he is always suspicious that it's doing something in the background he doesn't know about.
Just to sort of build upon Richard's example there, and obviously being in the premises and seeing the staff overwhelmed is an immediate concern. But ultimately, if I'm now as a consumer going onto some of these ordering platforms to potentially send my business towards one of these restaurants, one of the first things I'm doing personally is I'm looking at those reviews and I'm essentially rating them by ranks, not necessarily by cuisine, not necessarily by distance from my home. So ultimately, like I say, if this technology can improve the efficiency and the chance of me leaving a good review and other people leaving a good review, then the footfall as a result is going to be surely increased. So to go back to your original question is, should they invest in it? Ultimately, it can drive better reviews and increase that footfall online. Why wouldn't you invest in it?
Yeah, I think customer service has got to be it's got to be impeccable, hasn't it? Because most places should be able to do good food. Okay, some places are always going to be better than others, but if I'm going to a restaurant, I want to feel like I've been looked after there. Not even a restaurant, something as simple as the weekend going in and ordering a coffee. You want to feel as though people have seen you. Yeah. You don't want to stand there like you're an invisible ghost.
There's nowhere to hide now from bad reviews as well with TripAdvisor and Yelp and Google. You're just one search away from a 1-star review potentially causing you the loss of a sale.
And it's communication is the big one. I mean, and that's where technology comes in. I saw somewhere with London Underground that the number one innovation ever in its history was the time for the next train coming.
Yes.
People would prefer to see 20 minutes than nothing.
Yeah.
And it's the same in this industry. If you're communicating all the way through the order system, saying it's going to be 44 minutes, and then the driver's left and so on, even if it's 45 or something, if the communication is there, the bad review won't go in. And that's one of the things technology helps with, and a lot of people don't get that. Like, even our own driver tracking, sometimes they don't put it on, they go, well, we're always pretty much on time. But it's still a frustration. You wonder, is it coming in 10 minutes, is it 20 minutes? It's the same, like I think Disney were geniuses at this, when they put in the queues and it might be 2 hours, and they were the first one to block the next line. So you go through the queue and you wouldn't feel as bad the whole way. And then you get to a certain stage and you go 14 minutes left and so on. And people didn't get frustrated. That might be AI, but it's what, in a scale of local business, you got to get the communication right, you got to get the flow right, you got to make your customer feel that everything is under control and you're going to get your food and it's coming. I think that's
You'd
huge.
rather wait and expect in 2 hours than an unpredictable 30 minutes.
Maybe not 2 hours, but give or take.
Depends how hungry
I
I
think
am.
so, yeah. Like, if you say it's 40 minutes and you go, and you believe it's 40 minutes, then I think you're not going to be frustrated. But if you don't know, even coming too early sometimes is annoying. Like, you might say 40 minutes perfect, you might want to go to shower, during the double 20 minutes there, you're frustrated because you said 40 minutes, and there's other stuff to do, or you might be in the house, you go, it's 40 minutes, I'm on my way home, order now, get there. So I think communication the whole way through, and people believe in the system. When you believe in the system, then you'll be a happier customer.
So what is AI doing in the background for a particular hospitality outlet? What exactly is AI doing in the background to support that?
Of many things, like we'd have lots of examples. Like I think we talked about earlier, but moving to call centers through AI with human voice, that's going to be huge. And the reason for it is you could deal with 200 calls at once if you needed it. There's no capacity limit. So instead of having your staff run to the phone or your drivers, everybody runs to the phone, taking an order, trying to figure it out, busy, noisy, getting it wrong. Now you can put it straight through to AI and you can have a great upsell. You can immediately identify who's the person, if they're a returning customer, what did he order the last time, what was the upsell. So you get your upsells correct. You can deal with it. You can do it. There's so much you can do all at once. That takes somebody off the phone. So there's one less person answering in a very, very busy take. We've one chain we work with, and one of their venues we were in recently, the phone never stopped. It was crazy. It's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, writing down, trying to get it going, trying to put it in the POS. You can cut that all out. Now you're more focused. I think, especially in takeaway, your job should be, an order should come in, you should cook it, and you should hand it to a driver or customer. You shouldn't be thinking of times, you shouldn't be thinking of anything else. It should be completely automated. The flow should be there, and you concentrate on getting the food right. And if you get the food right and your timing's right, it goes out hot, the customer's happy, the driver's happy, because he's not standing there for 15 minutes waiting for it. So it's a huge part of it. It's all machine learning and AI together. Like, machine learning obviously is an older model where you're starting to run tasks, but now AI is more predictive, starting to get into saying, okay, you're going to be really busy between 7 p.m. and 7:20. We're going to need extra people, but we don't need them at 5 o'clock. You can start moving things around, paying staff better for maybe doing tasks. It's critical. And going back into that, I suppose, why wouldn't it go into AI? Everything has happened. Like the Industrial Revolution, everybody had to move. I read somewhere about when they moved from horses to cars, and people were going, this is never going to work. And in New York, it was to do with horse dung. There was too much of it. There was 200,000 tons a week or something. and they went, how do we clear that up? So let's get the cars moving. AI is coming. If it has to, you have to embrace it, or you're going to be left behind. I know that sounds terrible, but it is true. You're either going to move with it, learn with it, or be left behind.
Yeah, I think it's happening anyway, and it's not whether you like it or not; it's whether you know it or not. Really.
Yeah.
I think if it's really good, it's supporting people in the background. It's taking tasks away from people to make them more efficient at their jobs. It's doing things for them that they probably you don't need a human to do anymore. You know, we talk a lot about self-service and whether it's self-checkout in retail or kiosks for self-ordering in hospitality. Whereas before you'd have 5 people just standing there waiting to be told what burger somebody wanted so that they can tell somebody else what burger to cook.
Yeah.
You don't need a human being to do that, do you?
Yeah. And it's great for predicting what staff you need on making the roster. Like I remember after a heavy shift on a Friday night and it'd be 2 a.m. in the morning, the last thing you want to do is sit in the office and create the roster for the following week. It takes hours. You have to go through manually who has holiday days, who's here, who's available, who's a student, part-time, etc. AI just does all that. It knows exactly what staff members you have on, what they can work. The staff can interact with their own apps and just take all that away. Take that. It's a headache. They should just be focusing on, as from a manager and an owner perspective, focusing on making sure that their staff are happy and therefore their customers are happy.
So just dealing with the parameters, really. You know, so Billy only works 14 hours a week, and he can't work Tuesdays because he's got whatever art class on a Tuesday. So it takes all of these things. You just put the right parameters in, and
There's other ones as well, and it can be either a positive or negative. You look at how people perform. You have touch points, how many orders you take, what you cook, or whatever you're working, and you find somebody who's super efficient. And one of the conundrums is that super efficient person would be better off working on a Saturday night and a Friday night, where the person's not efficient, put them in a Monday to have an easier life. So there is certain calculations, and there's things we look at in that respect. But yeah, you can look at who's the most productive, when they should be on, what's their busiest times, what's their quietest times, and so on. So they'll probably have to start adjusting pay grades according to that, because if you're the best worker and you have to work the worst hours, there's something not right about that either. They're going to have to balance things out. But yeah, you look at everything, how long it took cook, or who's the quickest on it, or we have a reviews thing built internally to try and keep people away from social, and it's connected to the drivers and staff and everything. So you start to look at a 1-star review come in, you start linking it down to, and you go, wait a minute, same driver. It's the whole way through, So yeah, it can help in every touch point. Now, then again, there's a thing called data paralysis, and you get so much data. We've built so much of it for bigger customers, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reports, that they've gone to the next stage now, which is they just kind of go, there's too much. So now this is where AI comes into the data and starts talking to it. You ask, what was my sales last week per store? What was the best store? What was the worst store? It'll answer it. Any suggestions? Yeah. You need more staff here, less staff here. Any menu suggestions? Yes, we see that, your battered sausage has terrible margins and doesn't sell, and it takes longer to cook. Take it off the menu. So now it's from an owner's perspective.
Be a trust.
Bad choice.
Don't get rid of the battered sausage.
Vegan burger.
We can live without vegan burger.
It's interacting, and we have a customer who owns a large chain, and we're talking to, and he says, "Give it to me simply," and that was it. Open up the business app where all his data is, and ask it questions. And he was coming up with really, really good questions. Can I do that? I get it. Yeah, I can talk to AI and say, what the hell is going on in my business? What's happening here? What's happening there? If you look at the stat and it says order to delivery was 1 hour, when it should be 42 minutes. What happened there? And you go, you were down 2 drivers, and there was all this thing. So you can start making decisions based around it. But that's where it get really interesting, especially from the management point of view. And from a staff point of view, the job's easier. Cook the food, get that right, get that skill right, hand it to the driver, hand it to the customer. Don't get involved in answering the phone. I didn't sign up for that. Whatever other job is, stick with your job and be more efficient. Yeah,
that's all good. So I mean, it all sounds very positive, but there must be some drawbacks there.
Or it's all going to be slaves to the machine, right? You know, no, the drawbacks, like again, it's the same ones. All the content came from humans. So people are saying they're going to lose all the jobs and all this is going to happen. But the labour market and the consumer market have to match up, because without a labour market, you won't have a consumer market. And you know, so there will be displacement, but AI can't keep moving on its own, because it'll become incestuous. It start to look at its own data over and over and over again. So it needs input. So we've provided all the data. If that stops, then AI just becomes a generic tool eating itself from the inside. So you'll always need like an artisan approach. You'll need art, you need music, you need literature. You'll see something in the future where people will say that they have a book that's written by a human. We found 22 mistakes. It's worth more money than the perfect one written by, you know, it's like Van Gogh. The paintings, I think, was the more valuable when you see he painted over something else, or he used a lazy brush stroke for whatever reason. And that's the balance. We're going to keep giving the data. We have to. But we might be more, I don't know, as I say, artists, and like, you know, it's literature, creation, everything we do feeds it. And if we don't feed it, it's going.
A lot of art comes from mistakes. You do something wrong, and actually the error is better than the.
Absolutely. It's a personal touch. And a personal touch is what gives a uniqueness. And if you don't have that, so the negative side will be, if we're not creating content, then AI just fizzles out. So the good side is that it'll help people change their lives. Like, as I say, the Industrial Revolution, the factories come along, you didn't labour in the fields, cars come along, you didn't have horses. And, you know, things change. I think they actually predicted when cars came, horses would be extinct within 10 years. It didn't happen. But, you know, there's changes coming, they're big. But the world changes, and I think it'll be pretty better.
Yeah. I suppose there's still an element of time there as well, isn't there? Because if we use Molly's example about the time used to be spent on the rota for the following week has been saved now, because a lot of that process has been taken up by AI making a decision about who's available. You've also used all your examples about, for example, looking at the top sellers and the bad reviews and who was working. Someone has to go through those reports and actively make a decision on what you change, what you action, and what you monitor, right? And I guess there's still the human interaction and the time associated with reviewing and make a decision there, isn't it? That doesn't go away.
No, absolutely. Like you can't go to AI and say, okay, I want to open up a takeaway. Go do it. Find me the location, find me the staff, find me the products. You know, start and put it all together. It'll give you the list now. It'll come up for it, and it'll say, should go here because of demographics and all this. But it's not entrepreneurial, and it's going to be a really great tool. And you know, self-drive cars, I'm a big proponent of it. I always go on because I think it's going to be great. But I
mean, there are some terrible drivers out there. Self-drive cars.
The narrative right now is I won't trust the car, it could kill somebody. But the stats is the other way around. It's going, those humans keep killing people with cars. You know, once the narrative changes, then you're going to see self-drive cars. Great world, you know, and
more pints.
It'd be great for hospitality.
Yeah.
There's still loads of great changes will come. Like even now, they're talking about reading medical reports, scanning X-rays, and all that. It's up to 9 times better through AI, and it's finding issues that the human eye couldn't do it. So there's huge benefits to it. But again, the negatives, people are worried about wiping out industries and what's everybody going to do. But it'll come back to labour force versus the consumer market. You have to have both, because if the labour force keeps shrinking, the consumer market shrinks. So it's just not going to work. They have to balance with each other. So it'll change, but it'll balance.
I suppose there are certain things that AI can't do. I mean, yeah, it can accept orders. It can, the transactional element of human interaction. It can manage that, and arguably it can do that better than humans. But what it can't do is be human. It can't give you that. It's like the statistic that if you're walking down the street and you say good morning to somebody, you and they feel better about your day because of that. You don't get that if a lamppost would say, "Good morning, Richard, how are you today?" I don't know what set of circumstances would lead that to happen, but I think maybe one of the benefits of AI is that it's freeing people up to be able to say, to have those human interactions. And maybe even to help support them as well, not only how are you today, Richard, how's your day going, but also I see you having the vegan burger again today, Richard. Is everything okay?
It's a very informed lamppost.
I think it's how does this technology support people to be to deliver a better service in hospitality, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, even the hotel that we stayed in last night was they offered 2 different cookies on arrival. One is an allergen-free cookie, and the other one is a regular cookie. And being a returning guest,
taking your cookie.
you took my cookie.
Let it go.
I didn't get my cookie, no. But even at I did mention that. Yeah. At arrival, if they know that I have an allergen-free cookie, the staff member is just already waiting there, ready to give me my warm allergen-free cookie that Padraig ate on me.
What exactly is AI doing to prevent this criminal theft that happened in the hotel last night?
Yeah, that's look, human contact is just has to be there. You're not going to go out. I mean, we've seen robot bars. I know they have them on cruise ships, and there's one of those virtual experiences.
Is that like the place in Star Wars where all the robots go to drink?
Yeah, and the humans are serving them. Yeah, it's probably the other way around. But it can make a cocktail. Great, but why put it out front? If it's shaking a cocktail, great. If it makes it, but serve it with a human. There is limits. You're not going to go out and sit in a restaurant and be served by machines. And
I mean the machine's not going to have a chat with you and go like, "Oh yeah, Bloody Mary, you're a bit hungover." I can probably manage that, but it's not going to. It's not going to have a conversation with you on a personal level. A lot of it is, the whole analogy of you go into a bar. It's not about having a drink. It's about having a chat with somebody sitting next to you and the person behind the bar as well. And I wonder if it's maybe leading us back to a time when these places, because of technology, these places become more personal.
Yeah.
And they, because the staff have actually got time to talk to you, they're still there to do a job, but that job isn't to prepare drinks or take orders or the transactional element of it. Their job is merely, I don't know what you would call it, social lubricant or something like that. They're there simply to help oil the wheels of the technology machine that's making the business actually run in the background.
I think the 2 parts of it came out of COVID. First of all, the AI and technology sped up due to COVID, getting all these things ready really quickly. But the second part of it is everybody realized solitude doesn't work for humans. So the technology's grown, and then all of the issues that came from people that were locked away and they're trying to deal with it. So I think we have to socialize, we have to mingle. It's for mental health, for everything else. And, mundane tasks will move over to AI, but the world will evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's interesting is that AI is happening now. It's happening already, whether we like it or not, whether we know about it or not. And if you think about what's already happening, I mean, what's the market going to look like in 25 years' time, given where we are already?
Well, I guess everything's going to move very fast. Where it's going to be in 25 years' time will be difficult to predict, but I think where I'd like to see
to
it.
do it.
Where I'd like to see
accurately as well. We'll be checking. We'll be
in
coming back to
25
you
years,
in
come back
26 years' time.
Yeah.
There are a number of errors in your prediction, Padraig.
I think that technology will move really, really fast in the next 3 to 5 years. It'll take over pretty much everything, and then it will settle. And what I'd like to see in 25 years is the technology does what it's supposed to do properly, but it's in the background. And it's working, doing its job, but it's not at the forefront and the first thing people talk about. I think again, I would like to see is move away from all the generic restaurants and food markets and shopping centres and shopping malls, and move back into the village inn area where you have self-drive cars bringing people to and from. So it'll be come back to basics with more authentic old style restaurants and bars, but using technology to make that happen. That's where I'd like it to be, and not box upon box of brands just throwing out food really quickly. But I think as well we'll probably move to far healthier foods because technology will help grow stuff more locally and better. Transport will be cleaner. So that's where I'd like it to be, back old school, but use technology sitting in the background, making lives easier and business easier to run.
Yeah.
So,
Molly, Jamie, anything to
I think AI can't feel the experiences and they can't taste the food. So I think people are going to get very creative on their offering to their customers, and I'm excited to see where that will go. What kind of restaurants will be popping up and hotels and where we're going to spend our time.
AI can't taste the food now, but in 25 years' time.
I hope it doesn't taste the food in 25 years' time.
I think a lot of the things we've kind of discussed today and the changes that are coming are being driven by socio-economical factors, be it, the changes brought upon us by COVID or the rising cost in staff or the rising cost in living. Obviously, we don't know where that's going to be in 25 years, but the trend and the presumption is that costs will continue to go up. So actually going out to dine and invest in a meal experience will be just that. It'll be an experience. So again, that, as we've discussed, that importance on continuing to find ways to improve customer service, I think will continue to evolve. I'll be interested to kind of see in 25 years' time how that dining experience is being tailored even further to ensure that, like I say, if I do have money to spend to go out, that I'll be coming back to that restaurant.
My dream is that every restaurant will have a talking lamppost outside. That's the
Good evening, Richard.
I want to see.
He's living
get there at 2:00 in the morning.
He's living in 2055 here.
Yeah. Good. And what about looking perhaps wider afield? Doesn't have to be within this market. What technology is getting you guys really excited at the moment?
I would have gone into the whole self-drive cars and drones, but I think after last night's conversation with Jamie, where I didn't realise helicopters couldn't go higher than buildings. So I think that maybe that's what I'd like to see happen.
Not yet, but in 25 years' time.
In 25 years' time.
The problem is, it's also predicted that in 25 years' time, buildings will be higher as well. So what will advance faster?
Infinite loop.
Perhaps they'll be able to fly over those talking lampposts. Who knows?
What else?
I'm excited about fitness wearables, just the amount of information that you have about yourself and how you can train better, sleep more, just lots of insights. How to, just look after yourself more.
Yeah.
So
I'm so completely addicted to my Apple Watch that my screen time has gone up because I spend so much time scrolling through my phone looking at how healthy I'm being.
Yeah.
I'm now spending an extra hour and a half on my smartphone just analysing myself. But the sleep, I'm obsessed with how much sleep I get,
And they're only going to gamify that more as well, I think, and make it more addictive, which isn't a bad thing to be addicted to.
Mm-hmm. I'm so excited about the sleep app on my phone that I wake up during the night to see
I think the injection of AI into that is great as well. I mean, we're already kind of seeing that in apps like Strava, for example, be able to take metrics from our health, but as well as metrics from recent activities, to potentially then tailor a program that's specific to you, your lifestyle. Obviously, Richard doesn't need this because he's conquered the gym, he's completed it. But for us mere mortals, it kind of replaces that static plan, whatever you're training for, that doesn't take into consideration how hard you've been working, how much you've been drinking, how little sleep you've been getting, especially if you're waking up every 10 minutes to check. So
Has it helped you a lot in training for a marathon?
it's the results would suggest that there's been no help whatsoever, Padraig, but I feel like it's been helpful, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, last generic question for you. That's my favourite one. what have you learned in your career that you wish you'd known when you started out in the industry all those many years ago?
On a serious note, I guess, well, one thing I learned in technology, and I learned it from the gaming industry. We built games for a while, don't ask me why, but we built some games for a bit of fun, more or less. But in the industry, they have an expression, and it's fail fast. And that is something that, looking back, I would have done more of, because if something's not going to work, you can tell early on. It's just that if you're getting too emotionally involved in it, you will keep going and it'll lead you down a bad path. So I think fail fast is a good lesson in life for me going forward anyway.
I'm really good at that.
Fail fast.
Fail as fast or as slowly as you want. The one thing that's true is failing is inevitable.
A bit like AI. Yeah.
It's coming whether you like it or not.
Full of taglines, this podcast, yeah.
Molly?
It's quite similar, actually. It would be take the risk. Just go for it. Especially when you're younger, you don't have as many overheads or people relying on you. Just start the business, get going, get moving. And aside from that, take everything that Padraig says with a pinch of salt. If I'd have known that from the beginning, things would be easier now.
That's why you didn't get a cookie.
Yeah.
Probably just carving out the time to learn. I think this technology has been coming for quite some time, and now it's here in abundance and will continue to evolve. I wish I could have gone back and invested a little bit more time to research at the early stages of its implementation in enterprise. Perhaps I'd be more clued up on the subject like Padraig had I have done that. But taking the time to actually look at these future and emerging technologies and actually learn about it now, not just jumping on the bus when the wheels are already in motion, and probably learning a little bit more about the altitude that helicopters could fly at.
You really need to do your research on helicopters.
Just general,
helicopters is
the least prepared person to bring onto a podcast.
Good. Just in closing, obviously we've spoken a lot today about AI and the hospitality industry. We've not spoken a great deal about Bossit and the solution you've got. Are there any closing comments you'd want to make about in terms of how does the solution that you have actually address some of the challenges and opportunities that we've spoken about?
I guess, we have talked a lot about AI. We do have a lot of tools in the business, and Molly can go through some of the tools, but we are AI first, and what we're doing is we're customizing our AI agents to work with, resellers and partners to make their lives easier as well. So it'll help to, run customer service to them, as I say, agentic AI. We will tailor it for our partners and resellers across all their business. We will tailor it for the customers, like each, setup in a restaurant or whatever it is different. So when we set it up to work with their settings, to work with their flow, to work with everything for it. So yeah, we're AI focused and driven. We have tools behind it, but with our partners, we'll bring them down that road, and it will, the days of hanging by your phone at 10 o'clock at night waiting to hear something's wrong with the system will be gone, and that's what we can bring to the table, as well as the tools Molly will talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we offer everything from POS to online ordering, web, apps. We have stock management, staff management, call centers, driver tracking, consumer tracking, marketing, loyalty. And with AI plugged in across all of it, it really just gives the actual end user complete oversight to their business, whether it be the local coffee shop or whether they have 50 restaurants globally. So yeah, they really get to explore their business, see where they can make changes and improve on it, reduce costs and increase revenue. And then from the resellers' perspective and hardware vendors and stuff, they have the opportunity to use the AI to train the end users so that they're spending not less time with them. Obviously we need that customer service as well, but the tools are there for their end users. If they have an issue with their hardware, it'll give them the information they need to restart it or just be on hand.
Yeah. So AI is
it's the core,
glue
really.
Sort of holds
Yeah.
all of the different applications together. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, makes them all work. We talk quite a lot about integrated systems within hospitality, and it's great having an online ordering app, and it's great having a kiosk, but if they're not all working together and feeding
yeah.
into that same system. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Frankenstein kind of systems out there with a bit of this and a bit of that, all pushed together to create a monster, as we call it. But we try to build from the ground up and build a system that talks with every touch point, every data point, from sales to operations to staff. They all come to one place so decisions can be made. And that's where AI bolts on nicely to it. And with hardware, I mean, our software works really, really well with hardware. They work hand in hand. It does bring efficiencies, and you can bring like a factory-like approach to your business, having different stations and for different things, so your productivity will go through the roof rather than the old days you'd have one cash register and you do everything manually. Now you've got your your linerless printers, you got your KDSs, you got your driver station, you got your packing station, your POS, your HANAs, you got all these things working, but we're the software that will power that and push it forward for our partners.
Yeah, and you mentioned partners, both of you, there a couple of times. Just in closing, just tell us a little bit more about how you work with partners and resellers that you're working with.
Well, we provide them with the software, and our software is hardware flexible, so it can work on a lot of different devices. So whether they're with, I don't know, Epson or Honeywell or Landy, whatever device they're using, it will sit nicely on that and just bring it all in together. So their end users don't actually have to fork out a massive outgoing expense at the beginning taking in new software. They can use their existing hardware and then build on it, so they can add additional KDS screens. They can have kiosks where they maybe wouldn't have been able to afford that from the beginning if we bring it back to like a local level. So yeah, we work with them and do bespoke packages, and we really just support them the whole way with what they need. We don't just license our model, give it to them and disappear. We're there with them for all of those initial sales and throughout the whole process whenever they need us to.
Yeah, we've evolved it recently, our last while, with lots of conversations where we feel we should do more. Like you've always looked at companies like take Starbucks. They sold their store as the extra room in your house where you go and you can work and hang out. That's their approach. We see ourselves as technology partner for our partners to say, okay, guys, look, we can help with onboarding, we can help with customer support, and let me take it all over. You go sell, build a business, keep the relationship with the customer. We'll do everything in the background, working as partners, not just a provider of technology.
Very good. Well, as always, it was a pleasure speaking to you. Thanks for joining us here today in the Ask Blue podcast studio.
Guys. Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining us as well, Jamie.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we'll look forward to seeing you again really soon on the next Ask Blue podcast. Cheers.